In 2007, the New York Times reported that the CIA had destroyed at least 2 videotapes showing, quote, severe interrogations. The interrogations happened in 2002. The tapes were destroyed in 2005. The Times reported on that fact in 2007. And now, bombshell, news that it wasn't just 2 tapes that were destroyed, it was 92 tapes. Which means it wasn't, whoops, how did that slip into the shredder? It was a systematic effort, apparently, to destroy that kind of evidence. For the past year, sort of under the radar, a special counsel, U.S. Attorney John Durham, has been investigating whether the CIA broke laws by destroying those interrogation tapes. On Friday, the CIA is expected to give a list of witnesses who viewed those tapes before they were destroyed. They could presumably testify as to what was on them if they were ever asked to do so. Also today, late this afternoon, the Obama Justice Department released 9 previously secret post-9/11 legal memos in which the Bush administration claimed they believed the Fourth Amendment, that, handy little amendment that protects us from unreasonable search and seizure, they believed the Fourth Amendment no longer applied in the United States. They believed that the military could search and seize anything and anyone in this country as long as they said their targets were terrorism suspects and as long as the president said, ollie ollie oxen free, essentially. Another memo by Justice Department lawyer John Yoo also said the First Amendment was no constitutional match for the president anymore. He could override it as he saw fit. Quote, First Amendment speech and press rights may also be subordinated to the overriding need to wage war successfully, unquote. Joining us now is Newsweek's investigative correspondent, MSNBC contributor Michael Isikoff. Michael, thanks for joining us tonight.
Good to be with you, Rachel.
These 9 memos, first, what legal prerogatives were the Bush administration claiming after 9/11 that we didn't know about before these memos came out today?
I think it was that ollie ollie oxen free proviso that you referred to. Look, we have known for quite some time that the Justice Department during this period was giving the green light for a whole wide range of activities, warrantless surveillance, interrogations, harsh interrogations of suspects, citing broad, expansive powers that they claimed the president had in light of the 9/11 attacks. But every time we get one of these memos, we discover new claims and new assertions that were being made, like the one you just cited in this October 23rd, 2001 memo written by John Yoo, who was the intellectual author of the legal philosophy that the Bush administration was relying on, saying that if the Fourth Amendment didn't apply during the War on Terror, there's no reason the First Amendment guarantees of freedom of the press and freedom of speech should apply either. We're at war. The president in wartime has unlimited, unfettered executive power to defend the country, and the Justice Department was essentially giving the green light to that.
Michael, I know the Bush administration repealed these memos as one of their very last acts. One of the Bush administration's last acts. They said they had not relied on the advice in these memos for quite some time. Why then repeal them right before Bush leaves office?
Actually, that was one of the most interesting revelations today, that with 5 days left in George Bush's presidency, Steve Bradbury, who was the chief of the Office of Legal Counsel, suddenly reviews these memos and says they shouldn't be relied on, that the legal reasoning on these was poor and not authoritative. We know a couple of things going on. Obviously, the Obama Justice Department was going to get into the files and be able to review these memos and release them, and a lot of people would get egg on their face. We also know, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago on this show, that there is this ethics review and report, the Office of Professional Responsibility inside the Justice Department, into the authors of these memos. Steve Bradbury was one of the people who was being investigated as part of that review, and Bradbury may have been trying to cover himself a little bit, trying to show, hey, I didn't sign off on these really wild-eyed John Yoo memos. I actually rescinded them. The problem he's got is the timing and you know, why he waited so long to pull these memos back.
The CIA, on those interrogation tapes, Michael, they said 2 years ago that the 2 interrogation tapes we knew about then, they said they were destroyed to protect CIA interrogators and their families from retaliation by al-Qaeda and their sympathizers, even though presumably they could fuzz out any identifying information about CIA officers on those tapes. Do we have any explanation thus far about why the other 90 tapes were destroyed?
Well, what the CIA is saying is these 92 tapes were tapes of 2 suspects. They never said there were 2 tapes. They said that there were tapes of interrogations of 2 suspects. And so when I put to them today 92 interrogations of 2 suspects, they're saying, well, they're not all interrogations. Some of these were just of the suspects themselves. The problem with that, in other words, it was not the waterboarding of the suspects and not the CIA interrogations, just of the suspects themselves sitting around in their black site secret cells somewhere. The problem with that is it's hard to square with the CIA's original explanation that they had to protect the identities of the CIA interrogators. If it's just the suspects, then whose identity are you protecting by destroying the tapes? There's still clearly a lot of explaining to do here.
Yeah, fascinating stuff, and we're lucky to have you helping us work through it. Michael Isikoff, MSNBC contributor, Newsweek investigative correspondent. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Rachel.